What does a sequel, a cash grab, and an evil cloud have to do in common? It's a Disney movie. Moana 2 is directed by Dana Ladeau Miller, Jason Hand, and David G. Derrick Jr. It is the sequel to 2016's Moana. So, what did I think about it? Well, let's talk about the categories and give it a score. First, acting. It is definitely hard to make a argument about acting when it comes to animated films as long as it doesn't seem stiff. At no point in this film does any character feel stiff at all. And that's a big positive, because if you have stiff voice acting, it's not believable and feels like it should be in the 99-cent bin. On the other hand, nothing stands out. Not any of the new characters, not any of the old characters kind of elevate themselves above what you should probably be getting. As someone who really enjoyed the first Moana and even watched it right before going into seeing the second one at a screening, I felt, it lacked a lot. There wasn't enough oomph, there wasn't enough love, and there wasn't enough passion, I feel like, within the performances that I just felt hooked on. Everything kind of fell flat, even though they're not flat performances, if that makes any sense. Overall, it's just feels okay. There's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing great about it. Nothing drives me, nothing grips me in terms of the performances. So in that case, I'm only going to give it a half a star out of 1 within this category. Visuals. Of course, the visuals in this film needs to be absolutely stunning, just like the first one. And it's stunning. The water effects alone are something to give major applause to. Water can be so chaotic at times. If it is too repetitive, then it looks unnatural, and they just nail it here. The color, the reflection, everything about it is just beautiful, just like the first one. It's great. You can also talk about the color play throughout the film, just like the first one. Does really well with contrasty areas, but also providing a really beautiful aesthetic to look at. With animated films, you can definitely get wrapped up in how a film looks, and this film, well, it just looks great. Until the giant cloud monster. Yes, another giant cloud monster from our friends at Disney. Now, Disney wasn't in charge of the first giant cloud monster. That was, well, what they ate. Fox. They provided the giant cloud monster first, but now it's technically a part of Disney, so there you go, Disney. You ate a mistake, and now you just spit it back out onto this film. Now, the reason why I hate it so much is, well, you get rid of the ambitions and the drive of the villain. Yes, I know this is a kid's movie. It's an animated movie, so it doesn't matter. But why doesn't it have to matter? The focus on the children aspect of this film is very apparent. The fact that it is a cash grab is very apparent. And the visuals really hurt from this. The ending just feels so rushed. It feels so bland. And it feels so generic that I think, like I said, with the other one, you could probably find it in 99-cent bin. Because, it struggles. It goes from this beautiful contrasty aesthetic to just this bland nonsense that we get at the end. Throughout the film, there are examples of what this god looks like, and you don't get that. You don't get it at all. You just get a giant cloud. So with me being upset, I'm going to only give it a half a star out of 1 within this category. Audio. Yeah, the songs aren't good. They're at least not bad. The singing performances are good. Not bad, just not great. The first one had some iconic songs. Some songs that are still played to this day, nearly a decade ago. We are 2 years away from it being a full decade. and then we'll just be watching the live action version because, man, Disney likes to fill their pockets. Like I said, the songs just don't hit. I don't see any of these songs coming out of this movie being as iconic as the first one. Maybe one song that is towards the end that has a lot of heart, that has a lot of soul, that plays into the culture that they're playing into. But besides that, it's just mid all the way around. You can hear everyone, thank God, because it is an animated film. And then the sound effects are good. So it's just mid all over the place. So with all that being said, I'm just going to give it a half a star out of 1 within this category. Story. First of all, the story takes forever to get from point A to just even point B. When I looked at my watch, when point B hit about, I was like, how much time do I have left? Because it's been pretty boring so far. Because the setup has been huge. I went, man, we only have 30 minutes left. It took forever just to get here. We have to get through Act 2 and Act 3 in 30 minutes. Now, I did say in Gladiator 2, it pushed me over the edge from giving it a bad score to an even better score when it comes to the story because the last 30 minutes were so good. That's not the case here. The case is that it's generic in Act 2.5. I don't even think it's Act 3. I just think it's right down the middle at Act 2.5. And honestly, the reason why is because the Kings weren't a part of this movie at all. The Kings of Disney. Now, there are some guys like Brad Bird, who I think is a king of Disney, but not the Kings of Disney, because that goes to John Musker and Ron Clements. Because they brought me my favorite movie twice. My top 2 Disney movies of all time, they brought them two. And you can definitely feel like they were the heart and the soul of the first movie. And in this movie, there is no heart. Remember in the first movie when everything turned to black, then turned to dust? That's how I felt like the heart went. I feel like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. There is no heart, there is no soul in this movie. It is just a generic corporate cash grab. And then you talk about the villain. The villain is talked about throughout the whole film about this big god, and you're like, okay, cool. He looks cool. He looks frightening. And then he turns out he's a freaking cloud. You can't connect with a cloud. Great villains are ones that you can slightly connect to and understand the reasonings behind it, even if it's a kid's movie. And that's another big issue. Story relies on being a kid's movie, not a family movie. Great animated films have the ability to give a story and a moral question to both kids and adults, and this film lacks it completely. It was boring. It was bad. So with all that being said, story gets a big old goose egg, 0 stars out of 1 within this category. Enjoyment. Can you tell my frustration with this film? Because now I have found my new cure to my insomnia called Moana 2. Not gonna lie, I slept in this morning. I got a lot of sleep. I was happy. It's Thanksgiving week, so I didn't have to really go in early, so I was able to sleep in just a bit. So I got my hours of sleep. I got more hours than I normally would. And you know what I got? Tired at the movie theater. I almost fell asleep. It's that boring. It's that bland. It's that greediness that Disney just so covets nowadays and has been for the past X amount of years that I just struggle to move past. The big question is a sequel warranted? Was there not a story that was told in the first movie that needs to be told in the second one? Yeah, there was nothing that needed to be told. I literally walked into the theater wondering what the story was going to be. I don't watch trailers that often, so I was wondering what we were going to witness. Because the first one ended so nicely. It was a nice tight bow, and I was perfectly fine with that. I even assumed Musker and Clements even had a sequel idea. That's my guess. Because they wrote Treasure Planet 2, and that never coming out. And with that never coming out, we get Moana 2, and that thing is just lacks all type of heart, all type of soul. When I tell you I was in a theater packed with kids. No one laughed. These kids didn't laugh. Usually during these movies, it's just nonstop annoying kids laughing. The kids didn't laugh. If the kids ain't laughing, Disney, that means I either got a bad batch of kids at that theater who have no heart or soul and they didn't understand the heart and the soul that was on the screen, or it's the other way around. So with enjoyment, I take it from the kids. The kids spoke. Well, they didn't speak because they were quiet the whole movie, which was very peaceful and very new for me, especially when it comes to an animated film. So with all that being said, enjoyment gets a 0 star in the category. So if you're keeping track at home, that means Moana 2 gets 1.5 out of 5 stars. I think the movie, scratch that. I know the movie is bad.